In the little handout called Readings, Etc. Sure. There is one calculation question, it's number 26. It's going to take you back to the kind of calculations we did on the midterm, where you have 2 data points and you build the demand curve. You know, I'm going to, rather than drag you through the whole problem, since you have survived so far, I figure you know how to do it. What I'm going to ask you to do is redo that, construct it, and then think of it this way. Suppose we have a price, and we'll make it easy numbers, a price of $12, and we're selling 100 units. And when we ran our intercepts up here, our price intercept turned out to be $20. Simple question, how much consumer surplus is there in the market at that price given that demand curve?
Well, half times the base height.
Half times the base height, right? The height is 8, the base is 100. We take a half of that, that's pretty easy math, even for public school people like me, $400.
It's 8 or 18.
Huh?
Is it 8 or 18? I'm sorry.
That's 8.
The difference between the 20 and the 12.
Right.
Okay, good. So here's the thing. We've done this before. But now we say, look.
It was 12. That's what I was asking. I thought it was 18.
Oh.
If we know that's $400, how can we go get it? Well, at the extreme, if we could take every buyer and get him to pay the maximum price he's willing to pay, we could get all of that consumer surplus. If I just had a little meter to put up next to you when you walked in the store, it'd show me how much you pay and I say, here it is. That'd be really cool.
Like, oh, you're cheap. I don't mind. Try to go.
That's kind of like they're going to, one airline was going to charge people for based on their weight to buy tickets.
Oh, that's, yeah, that was.
Samoa Air, they were catching hell, man. Yeah. Here's the thing from a practical sense. If we said that this was one customer, and he buys 100 units a month, $12, and we happen to know his demand curve, what do we know? We know that he would really pay how much for those 100 units? How much is he paying now?
12.
He's spending $1,200. But we know that there's another $400 out there he would spend. If we knew that, or pretty close to it, we could say, look, Joe, I'll sell you 100 units for $1,600.
Okay.
He'd be like, yeah, that's about what I was, that's the most I wanted to pay, but I'll pay it. That's called
Total value received, right?
There's a different term for it. I'm trying to remember which term this book used.
I was trying to remember.
I stopped using the book. I'm using your notes.
What's the lump sum or block? I think this book uses block pricing.
I just read that the other day.
I think that was the term. But it says basically, if you know the consumer surplus for a given seller, then you charge him a lump sum price for the whole thing. And even if you don't know the total consumer surplus, if you say, look, Joe, I'll sell you all these for $1,450, you're still $250 better off than you were. So sometimes this block, or I think block pricing is the term they use.
They got price discrimination?
Well, price discrimination is when you charge each buyer the most he will, or something like that. Or groups of buyers, all the same price based on their similarities. Here's another one, though. What if the guy came in and we said, Joe, I'll tell you what. If you want to buy from me, you have to pay a $400 membership plus $12 a unit. Two-part pricing. You charge him a lump sum fee for the surplus plus your normal price that you would charge. And I think those things are really important. Does any of y'all belong to Gainesville Health and Fitness?
But
No way. That's too expensive.
If you join Gainesville Health and Fitness, it's a given lump sum per year. But what if they cut the amount by 2/3 and then charged you an extra $5 every time you came to the health club? Would that be a better pricing structure for them? And it would depend on the shape of the demand curve for their average consumer. But we know that, what, Planet Fitness, $10 a month.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I go. Like on a budget.
I joined Gainesville Health and Fitness in 1986. I pay them $79.50 a year
You're
for the rest of my life.
lifetime member.
Wow.
Yeah. And I
My
let
mom
it
was
slide
the same
for
way.
2 years, and I went back and you could buy it back one time.
Oh,
I just
wow.
paid my stuff in arrears, and here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
My mom was the same way. She did that. She's never giving it up.
Absolutely not.
Ever.
Just to go sit in the hot tub once in a while. Yeah. It's not like I get hangovers like I used to, and I need to be able to.
I don't know. We might need to it now.
Yeah, y'all are getting me closer to drinking. Seriously, you know. None of this amateur stuff.
This stuff.
Okay, that to me, I guarantee you something like that. Okay, how do you capture some of the consumer surveys? And you know, another way is your salesman. You put a salesman on commission, and he's trying to upsell everybody that comes in. You come into me and you buy a fishing rod, and by the time I finish talking to you for a couple hours, you're driving your boat away, loaded with all that.
So you
That's
want us
what
to
they-
be able to come up with the different types of pricing and flesh it out as
Yeah.
to what they need?
I want you to tell me, what is the consumer surplus and how can we go get it? Based on just these 2 data points.
That's what they do. I work for a car dealership in the accounting section, not salesman, but they do that. They sell the products.
Sure.
The warranties and the gap protection and the tire protection and the paint protection.
That's right.
It's a headache for me.
And for people who are not worried about it because they don't think they're going to be here tomorrow.
What's the date out?
Anyway, look at some of these questions. They're mostly, if you will do the reading, they're trying to get you to distinguish between the levels of competition. And yet I asked you to take a pretty close look at the extreme, perfect competition. We talked about that, what, last class? So we know what that is. And we know it doesn't really exist, but we say the closer you get to it, the more competitive the market. Well, so what? What's good about a competitive market? The prices stay low, and the quality of the products has to stay high, or you can't compete. You go out of business. So you and I as buyers, we win. For you and I as a seller in a highly competitive market, that sucks. It's a lot of pressure. When you get into the real world where there's a little bit less competition, you get monopolistic competition, and there the big thing is you have product differentiation. And this is what we spend a lot of time in schools of business talking about. How do you make your company or your product different than everybody else?
Location.
Real estate, we're talking location. If you're a real estate agent, maybe we're talking your appearance, maybe we're talking the reputation of your company on TV, the car you drive, the attention to detail, the courtesy, on and on and on. How do you differentiate yourself from the other 27 people that are interviewing for that job you want? The same question we play eternally. So we want to, and remember when we do that, we're also talking about that demand curve. Can we increase the demand curve? Can we make the demand curve more inelastic? And remember that when we talk about inelastic demand, that means people really need it. There are 4 ways we talk about going about to do that. Remember any of those?
Need versus
Good. Need versus necessity
Luxury.
versus luxury, the amount of time you have, the percent of your budget, and the number of substitutes available. So you want to know that list and be able to speak to it. For example, if you want to come in and interview with me for a job, how are you going to prove that there are no substitutes for you? That of the other 23 people out there interviewing, there's nobody like you or as good as you. That's the game we're playing. Convenience stores. Are they all pretty much the same? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they practice product differentiation?
Location.
Presentation.
Just location. They make you think about a whole lot of other things, but I don't think that really does it. So those are what these questions are about. If you will spend some time, maybe doing a little reading on them. All the readings, I think, a lot of the readings are there in the Angel materials. The big thing I would add, well, there's some terminology here. I do want you to know those. Have you heard of the tragedy of the commons?
The tragedy of who?
Of the commons. This is an old economic principle. If you have a village and everybody raises their own livestock, and you have a huge common green area that everybody is free to graze their goats and sheep and cattle on, what will happen to that commons? They'll decimate it. Because why?
It's being overused.
Why is it being overused?
Because there's too many animals.
Why are there too many animals?
Because there's only one common area.
I can't get you quite to say what I want, but you're
Oh.
right. It's free. It's free. Why are we overfishing our seas in some areas? We're depleting the fish populations. Because it's free. And everybody has an incentive to get what you can while you can. Nobody has any incentive to, preserve it in the long run, because to do so, they would stop fishing and everybody else would catch all the damn fish. That's the tragedy of the commons. That when you put things out there in common with no ownership, no private ownership, then it tends to be used up pretty quickly. How about the Florida aquifer? We're depleting that water down to the point we're not going to be able to live the way we do now. But does anybody own it to where they can demand that we pay for it? Only our government, which doesn't seem to really give a damn. Other terminology is on there. Just be from MBWA, number 4 on the back. Management by wandering around. What do you suppose that means?
Management by wandering around.
Yeah. What is management by wandering around? This is a management course.
Like making you look busy.
More than that, it comes from this basic statement. If you spend more than 50% of your time behind your desk as a manager, you are doing positive harm to your organization.
Positive harm.
Positive harm. Because you are generating requests for information, trying to get reports, bothering people with your questions, thinking up weird things to do. We need a training session on so-and-so, right? Get off, get out of your chair, and go wander around and see what's going on. Now, I'm caricaturing that, okay? It's not that extreme. But Tom Peters, big management guru from 30 years ago, still real big voice, that was one of his concepts. That so many managers spend so much time in their office, they need to get up and get out and see what's going on. Talk to people, talk to customers.
I know. Office, but with the door shut, how can you do?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Doors
So you
closed,
said-
blinds closed.
Positive
Sleeping.
harm
They're
by
sleeping there.
spending how much time?
If you spend more than 50% of your time behind your desk, this is his statement in one of his lectures. I just happen to remember it very well. It describes some of the people I've known. What is discretionary effort? It's when you do more than is absolutely necessary in your job. It's possible that you could probably come to work and just sit there in your desk with the windows closed and the door closed. Discretionary effort is when you do more than you have to.
Like putting in overtime.
And not even overtime, but frequently that.
Effort.
This class tonight, for me and for you, is discretionary effort. This is not required by any contract we operate under. Okay?
It's called
And you
being
deemed it
self-motivated.
optional.
Yeah, optional.
And I'm glad, because I figured out why my calculator was messing up, which is,
It's only going to work till you get home.
I know, pretty thanks.
You're like,
It's tough working.
So let's see. Those were a couple of them. Read number 27 for me. You're giving your first PowerPoint presentation and the first slide comes up.
I'm glad you're talking about that one.
The how of sexual harassment. And it should have read the harm. And yeah, just like you guys are right now, there's some snickering going on, including from your boss. First off, how would you deal with that?
comic
Got it,
relief.
got it.
Be like, I got your attention.
That's right. That's a perfect response. Now that I've got your attention,
Let's talk about the harm.
bingo. Good.
I'll just play it off.
If you can play it off and think on your feet, you're way ahead of the pack. What if you're kind of a slow learner like Strickland? What caused me to do that?
Not proofing.
Lack of attention to detail, typically didn't have enough time to put it together, procrastinated until the last possible moment. What do we know about proofreading and editing?
Essential.
Does wonder.
You can never edit your own work.
No.
You've got to have 2 or 3 pair of different eyes on it.
But spell check is not always.
Spell check's a damn lie.
Yeah,
Let's
it
just
is.
say it like it is, you know. Okay, I've seen those kind of things often enough that, I don't know. You let me know if there's other stuff out of there or from the TBM that you want to look at. Oh, I know the last point I wanted to make tonight. I don't recall if it's on here. If not, I won't put it on the test. I was going to talk to you about market failure. Some people believe free markets are the best thing in the world. Free markets make businesses competitive, creative, innovative. They create more jobs. People who work well in competitive markets make more money. Competitive markets are the way you get the most out of your resources in your economy and in your society. And that's their argument. But are there problems in a free market economy? What kind?
Trying to fight that. There's like negative
Yeah, you're talking about the externality.
Externalities.
yeah.
If Brian and I have a transaction and he buys paper from my paper mill, and we think, well, we're the only 2 people affected, we may be mistaken that if in running my paper mill, I also polluted the St. Johns River. The residents out there are affected too. And free markets don't recognize those externalities, or many times they don't. Okay? And you get into the classic conflict. You're my next door neighbor. I've got an old junk used car sitting on blocks out there and the grass is 4 feet high. I don't care if you like it or not, it's my house. But what? I'm creating a negative externality. I'm bringing down the value of your house. How do we resolve that?
Create rules and
Another
homeowner
problem.
associations, they create rules that you can't do that.
Yeah. Another problem is called public goods. If we were running shipping off the coast of North Carolina by the Outer Banks, where you have a lot of sandbars and rocks,
The lighthouse.
who's going to build the lighthouse to warn the ships off? The shipping companies? Sure, we're the shipping companies, right? We get together and say, we need a lighthouse. And everybody shares $1 million each and we'll build a lighthouse. What's your incentive?
There is no, you want to return.
If you can not pay while we build it, we can't deny it to you. We can't exclude you from using it. We can't say, oh, close your eyes, you can pay for this. It doesn't work very well, right? So sometimes we need to provide for goods in a way other than through the market system.
You can make that like a sun pass.
Yeah, right.
Voting pass.
Yeah, you
Shine your
can't
sun
go
back. I'm thinking you could mount some heavy-duty coastal artillery there.
Just put a gate up.
Did you pay? No, game over.
Okay, so you found the discussion on market failure in the
Yes.
Okay. It's about a page is all, right?
Well, then I saw the video you were talking about, the lighthouse
Yeah.
and other
Yeah.
public.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want you, touchingly familiar with what are the good things about a private market system, what are the shortcomings of a private market, because we need to know both in any discussion. And that's the points I wanted to cover tonight. Do you have anything more on your mind? My pledge to you is I'm going to stay with this handout and that time value of money stuff. That's the material.
Yeah. Okay.
You let me know anything that doesn't seem quite complete.
What kind of help can we have, sorry? Like notes, like for the midterm, we had some notes that were helpful.
What would you need?
There is nothing, there's no formulas that we need this.
Other than knowing how to do that demand curve again.
The demand curve, the TDM, remember
That's calculator related, so I mean,
Yeah.
I promise you, if you do the sample problems with the calculator, there's about 20 or 30 of them, 20 of them anyway, and by the time you finish them, you're pretty well familiar with it.
so we shouldn't need anything.
Shouldn't need that. I think that's it. And this stuff is mostly just discussion type stuff, so
Are we
when you
talking
find
about
stuff.
marginal analysis and
No,
profit?
that's really for microeconomics. And
Yeah, because I remember you were talking about with the, average total cost and then, the alpha.
I wanted to talk about the concepts beyond that you and I run into in management.
Yeah, the mathematics of the profit.
Yeah, that's not something that really,
Yeah, that was,
we've been there.
you're not gonna do those,
the mathematics
formulas, yeah, the mathematics
of equilibrium.
No, it wasn't. It was one of your PowerPoints.
Yeah. Where the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied, you got two equations you put together.
No, there was another one that I saw. I'm sorry, I'm blanking, but, I
Well-
think it's on the, ESQR or whatever that's called.
VQ, the videos and the readings. Disregard, if it's not on this handout, if it's not time value of money, I will not use it.
I don't have it printed out, so I can't.
No, if you think of it, give me a shout,
You list, the list of,
Because you're the one, the firm in the industry where you're talking about
that's perfect competition.
perfect competition, the marginal cost, your average total cost, and then
which one?
depending on where it was at,
Yeah,
if
you
we're
shut
losing
down,
money,
you stayed
breaking
open.
even, or staying open, yeah.
But again, that's all pure microeconomics, everybody's
Yeah,
had that.
that's more of like an analytical
And it's more
thinking
conceptual.
about it.
It's not, how do you use this in the real world? The real world says, you got 97 competitors in town, what are you gonna do about it?
I'm gonna make it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go have a beer and think about some product differentiation.
Cost of production, cost of volume? Is that what you're talking
Cost, volume, profit?
Is that what you're talking about?
That was,
Yeah, that was last
that
estimate.
was last one.
So, yeah, so,
I'd have to go back in there and look. It might have been on Angel one step.
Now, if you find it, let me know about it, but I'm pretty sure it's not anything to be concerned about.
Okay.
Okay? All right, cool. Turn this off.